Let me show you something that's gonna break your brain. Gyarados, 125 attack stat. One of the most powerful Pokemon in the game, and its water moves, they're some of the weakest attacks in its entire moveset. Surf on Gyarados in FireRed and LeafGreen does less damage than Return. Your water type's water moves are its worst moves. That's not a bug, that's simply how the game works. FireRed and LeafGreen play by completely different rules than modern Pokemon. And if you don't understand those rules, you're gonna build your team completely wrong. The Pokemon you think are strong, some of them are traps, and the ones you'd never look twice at, absolute monsters. Today, I'm ranking the 10 strongest non-legendary Pokemon in FireRed and LeafGreen, the Pokemon that will actually carry your team through this game. We're excluding legendaries because, yeah, Mewtwo is strong. We don't need to talk about that. Let's talk about the ones that really matter for your playthrough. What's going on, guys? It's Dan or aDrive, and if you're excited for FireRed and LeafGreen, then this video is for you, as I'm gonna break down the best Pokemon that you can use on your playthrough. Make sure you guys subscribe and like the video, because I'm posting a ton of Pokemon content that you simply do not want to miss out on. Before we start, you need to understand one mechanic or the entire list doesn't make sense. In FireRed and LeafGreen, whether a move is physical or special is determined by the move's type, not the individual move. Every fire, water, electric, grass, ice, psychic, dragon, and dark move is special, and every normal, fighting, poison, ground, flying, bug, rock, ghost, and steel move is physical. That means a Pokemon's typing and stats have to line up differently than you're used to. A physical attacker with a special type stab is in trouble. This one rule changes everything about this list, and you'll see why with almost every single entry. All right, let's count it down. Starting at number 10, and yes, I'm serious, it is Dodrio. 110 attack, 100 speed, and here's why this three-headed bird is secretly a menace in FireRed LeafGreen. Drill Peck is a flying type move, and flying is physical in Gen 3. That means Drill Peck runs off of Dodrio's 110 attack stat and hits like an absolute truck. Compare that to a Pokemon like Pidgeot, which has lower attack and relies on special stats it doesn't have. Dodrio is much faster and hits harder than almost every flying type available to you. Throw on Return for a second physical stab. Normal is physical too, and Dodrio is outspeeding and two-shotting things the entire game. Its ability, Early Bird, means sleep moves barely slow it down, it wakes up almost immediately. You won't find Dodrio on many people's radar, and that's exactly why it's here. This thing carries way harder than it has any right to. Budget pick, elite results. Number 9 is the sleeper pick that nobody talks about, that puts things to sleep, and that's Exeggutor. 125 special attack stat, let that sink in. It's tied with some of the best special attackers in the entire game. And Exeggutor gets to do that with dual special stab. Both Grass and Psychic are special types in Gen 3. Giga Drain and Psychic coming off 125 special attack, backed up by Sleep Powder to shut down anything you can't immediately knock out. That's pretty devastating. And Grass and Psychic typing absolutely shreds through water types and the sea of poison types that Kanto throws at you. Team Rocket, Koga, random trainers, Exeggutor farms them all. You'll get it by catching an Execute in the Safari Zone and hitting it with a Leaf Stone. It's not available super early, but once you have it, the damage output is genuinely surprising for a Pokemon that looks like a bunch of eggs glued to a palm tree. If you're running a grass type, don't sleep on this coconut tree. Also worth noting that Alakazam is a trade evolution, which means that if you don't have someone local to trade with, your Kadabra is never evolving, making Exeggutor an even better pick. Number 8 is Jolteon. This is the fastest thing in Kanto that's not a legendary. 130 speed, 110 special attack, Thunderbolt stab coming off those numbers just deletes everything. And in a game that's loaded with water types like Misty, half the Sevi Islands, Lorelei, and the Elite Four, random swimmers everywhere, Jolteon puts in work from the moment you get it until the credits roll. You get a free Eevee in Celadon City, and a Thunderstone is pretty available. Quick, easy evolution, immediately powerful. And don't forget, you can't get Umbreon or Espeon no matter how hard you try, so this is really your best evolution pick. Now here's the one catch, and this is a great example of the Psychic and Special split. Shadow Ball would normally be great coverage for Jolteon against Ghost and Psychic types, but Ghost is a physical move in Gen 3. Jolteon's attack stat is only 65, so Shadow Ball does almost nothing. Don't waste your one Shadow Ball TM here. Stick to Thunderbolt and Thunder and use Hidden Power or just pivot for everything else. What Jolteon does, it does perfectly. One thing to note though is if you do pick Jolteon, you're giving up Vaporeon, which is also excellent. Vaporeon is another Pokemon that has great coverage on the special side with Surf and Ice Beam, so it's a really good alternative if you want a bulky water instead. Your Eevee choice matters, so plan your team around it. Just don't pick Flareon because Fire is a special type move, and Flareon's attack stat is really good, but its special attack is not so good. Now let's talk about Arcanine, which is a FireRed exclusive. This is number 7, and I have to flag this one right away because if you're playing LeafGreen, you can't get this one again at all. But if you are playing FireRed, this thing is a beast, and it should be one of the reasons you pick FireRed over LeafGreen. 555 base stat total, that's higher than pretty much every single fully evolved starter in the game. Arcanine was literally classified as a legendary Pokemon in its original Pokedex entry. Its stats and coverage back it up. Intimidate drops the physical attacker's damage before they even move. Flamethrower runs off of its solid special attack stat. Fire is special in this game, so it lines up nicely. And Extreme Speed gives you priority, which is working off its physical stat, which it's really balanced, so you can use both. Growlithe you can get on Route 8, evolve with a Firestone when you're ready. The timing is up to you, but don't evolve it too early because Growlithe does learn some really good moves by level up. If you are playing Leaf Green and you need an alternative, your best bet is Charizard if you pick Charmander, or you can grab Ninetales. It doesn't hit nearly as hard, but it does work. It has a good special attack stat, has Flamethrower. It's serviceable, just not nearly as good as Arcanine. Number 6 should be no surprise. It is Lapras, and I love this one because they just give it to you for free. A Silphco employee straight up gives you a Lapras during the Team Rocket takeover quest. No catching, no grinding, no hunting. They just hand it to you, and it's incredible. One of the best Pokemon you can have on your team. Part of the reason why you generally would go Jolteon over Vaporeon. 130 HP makes it one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game. 85 special attack is solid. It's not earth-shattering, but it's more than enough because of the coverage moves that Lapras gets. Surf, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Psychic. That's 4 different special type moves, all running off its special attack stat, hitting a massive portion of the game super effectively. Competitive Pokemon players talk about Bolt Beam, the combination of Ice Beam and Thunderbolt, and not too many Pokemon can run both. Lapras is one of those. Water Absorb as its ability means that any water move thrown at Lapras just heals it, so you get some really good switch-in options where you can switch into Surf. You don't have to stress too much about that. Lapras is also like a slightly slower and tankier version of Starmie, so if you want a Pokemon that can take hits and dish them out, Lapras is a really good pick, and it's really, really good in the Elite Four. It destroys Lance, it's able to deal with Lorelei's water types, and Psychic coverage can deal with Bruno. Number 5 is the Swiss Army knife of Kanto, Nidoking. The thing about Nidoking is its stats aren't crazy impressive. 102 attack, 85 special attack, nothing too crazy, but this is top 5 material. No Pokemon in the game has better move coverage, period. Earthquake, Mega Horn, Sludge Bomb, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball. Nidoking literally learns all of these, and that's not even the full list. It can hit every single type in the game for at least neutral damage, and hits most things super effectively. And it comes online absurdly early. Catch a Nidoran before Brock, and that's before the first gym. Pick up a Moonstone in Mount Moon, that's before the second gym, and boom, you have a fully evolved Nidoking before Misty. Name me another fully evolved Pokemon available that early. You can't because there isn't one, except for maybe Butterfree, which is pretty solid too. The one thing that you want to be strategic about is TM allocation. Remember, TMs are single use, so that Earthquake TM, the Ice Beam TM, once you use them, they're gone. Nidoking can use all of them well, so just make sure you're not stealing a TM that another team member needs more. Nidoking isn't the strongest at any one thing, but it does everything, and it does make it from the very beginning of the game. That versatility alone makes it top 5. Don't sleep on Nidoqueen either. It's a little bulkier, doesn't hit as hard, but has a lot of the same coverage options, so it can be a really strong pick for players. Number 4 is Gyarados, and this is where the physical special split gets really interesting. I kind of dogged on Gyarados in the intro, but it's still really good. 125 attack, Intimidate is one of the best abilities, and it has access to Dragon Dance. On paper, Gyarados looks like one of the most dangerous Pokemon in the game, and it is, but not for the reason you'd expect. Gyarados is a water type, and water type is special in Gen 3. Gyarados has 60 special attack, that means Surf, its own stab, runs off of that pathetic 60 stat. Your big scary Sea Serpent's water moves hit like a pool noodle. But what makes it number 4? Physical moves, baby. Hyper Beam is a normal type, which is physical in Gen 3, and running off that 125 attack, Return does the same thing. Earthquake is a ground physical move, and Dragon Dance boosts both your attack and your speed, turning Gyarados into an unstoppable sweeper after 1 or 2 boosts. 1 Dragon Dance, and Gyarados outspeeds and annihilates almost everything in the game. 2 Dragon Dances, that's game over. Nothing's really surviving that. You can buy a Magikarp for 500 Pokédollars at the Route 4 Pokemon Center, grind it to level 20, and you've got one of the scariest Pokemon in Kanto. Yeah, the Magikarp grind is painful, but it's not really that big of a deal because Gyarados is worth every second. As a kid, I remember throwing my Magikarp into the daycare below Cerulean City, so that's an option too. Just remember, Surf is still useful as an HM for traversal, and Gyarados can learn it for field use. Just don't expect it to do impressive damage unless you're hitting something like a Golem or a Graveler 4 times super effective. Number 3 is the immovable object, Snorlax. 160 HP, 110 attack, 110 special defense. 65 defense is its only real weakness, and even that's a deception because its HP patches that up. Snorlax simply does not go down. You encounter it blocking the road, and it's basically handed to you as a scripted encounter twice in the game. Wake it up with the Pokeflute, catch it, and your team just gained a Wrecking Ball that happens to be one of the best special tanks in Kanto. Body Slam for a reliable stab, it's normal and physical, and it runs off that big attack stat. Shadow Ball is a ghost type, which means it's also physical in Gen 3, so Shadow Ball on Snorlax runs off that 110 attack stat instead of the 65 special. That's a big deal. It means that Snorlax has coverage against Ghost and Psychic types where most normal types would be walled. This is huge. You can add Earthquake for Steel types and Rock coverage and Rest to fully heal, and you can rely on that enormous HP pool to survive the sleep turns. Snorlax can solo entire sections of the game just by being too fat and too strong to take down. Against the Elite Four specifically, Snorlax walls Agatha's entire Ghost team. Her Gengars can barely scratch it, while Snorlax's Shadow Ball and Earthquake demolish them. It also takes Lorelei's Ice Beams better than almost anything you could bring. If you want a Pokemon that absolutely refuses to lose, Snorlax is your pick. Number 2 is the Glass Cannon to end all Glass Cannons, but it is worth the mention. It's Alakazam. 135 special attack, 120 speed, in a region packed with poison types, Team Rocket grunts, Koga's gym, wild Pokemon everywhere. Psychic types are pretty much OP. Alakazam outspeeds almost everything and one-shots almost everything else. It's really that simple. Psychic Stab is 135 special attack, and it's simply unfair. Shadow Ball would normally round out the coverage, but again, Ghost is physical, so you don't want to do that. You'll skip that entirely. You'll generally go Psychic, Calm Mind. You can even look at things like Recover, but really the secret tech here is the elemental punches. Thunder Punch and Fire Punch. Yes, even though these are punches, they're special attacks. They're actually really strong, and you can use that alongside Calm Mind to do big damage. The big asterisk, though, is that you do require local trade. Kadabra will not evolve, you can't trade online, so you're gonna have to rely on local wireless only. If you got a friend or a cousin or something that you can trade with, that's a pretty good option. Kadabra's okay, 120 special attack, 105 speed as a middle evolution. You can still use Kadabra as like a top 10, top 15. Don't totally skip it. If you can make it work, you definitely could, but I would try to get someone to trade with for the Alakazam because it really is worth it. Now let's talk about the number 1 strongest non-legendary in FireRed and LeafGreen. It might be a surprise to you, but it's Starmie, and it's not even close. 115 speed, 100 special attack, and then of course Water and Psychic typing, which are both special type attacks in Gen 3, meaning both of Starmie's stabs run off its special attack stat perfectly. No wasted stats, no awkward type mismatch, everything lines up, and its coverage is truly broken. Surf, Psychic, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt. That's 4 special type moves covering Water, Psychic, Ice, and Electric, and together they legitimately hit everything in the game for neutral or super effective damage. This is Lapras, but faster and on steroids. There's almost nothing in Kanto that can switch into Starmie safely. Natural Cure as its ability means that every time you switch Starmie out, your status conditions are healed, which is pretty helpful as well. And it's fast. Again, 115 speed outspeeds every gym leader's ace, every Elite Four Pokemon except a few, and it's most things that you're going to encounter in the wild. Starmie moves first, it hits hard, and it covers everything. It's the complete package. You can get it by catching a Staryu with a Super Rod and evolving it with a Water Stone. Straightforward, no trading, no post-game lock. But it is a pretty big if because Starmie is a LeafGreen exclusive. If you're playing Fire Red, you cannot get Starmie at all, and that's a big bummer for those Fire Red players. But don't worry, you have Arcanine as an option. The best replacement for a fast special attacker is definitely Alakazam or Kadabra. Less type coverage, but a similar role and power. Alternatively, Lapras fills the Water Ice role with a little bit more bulk and less speed. Neither one perfectly replaces Starmie. It's honestly a great pick in LeafGreen if you haven't decided yet. Just saying. But before we wrap up, there's a few shoutouts to Pokemon that just missed the list. Slowbro is a LeafGreen exclusive. It's bulkier than Starmie, and with Water and Psychic typing and coverage, you'll be able to go with the tank over the Speedster. Slowbro's a good pick. Gengar is also solid, but again, another trait evolution. Its 130 special attack stat looks amazing on paper, but its Ghost Stab is physical in Gen 3, so you're stuck using that 65 attack stat. Its best Ghost move does nothing, but you can still use things like Thunderbolt and Psychic, and you'll be able to do decently well. Dragonite, of course, has absurd stats. 134 attack, 100 special attack, but Dratini isn't available until very late, and it doesn't get Dragonite until level 55. If you have the patience, it's incredible, but most players aren't going to want to grind that. Tauros is another sleeper pick that has to be mentioned here. Intimidate, massive attack, great speed, but it's a Safari Zone catch with a horrible catch rate, so good luck getting one. It's pretty good though. Vaporeon is another one, 130 HP, water tank, surf, and ice beam. It's excellent if you need a water coverage, but you know, Jolteon is obviously a better choice just because of the competition with electric types. I think you could do Vaporeon if you don't want to do Lapras and you're playing Fire Red. And there you have it. That's your best options in Fire Red and LeafGreen. And while my team is going to look very different because I'm going to use a lot of my favorite bug boys, Butterfree and Pinsir and so on and so forth, there's a lot of really good standouts in this list. So if you found this helpful, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you guys are new. And let me know what your team is looking like in Fire Red LeafGreen in the comments down below. I'll see you guys with more videos.